Great good morning, everyone. Cordaro Jewelers, your Breitling watch store time is 9:10 a.m. here in the great Northeast this beautiful Tuesday, March 3, 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America, the country that now stands up for its interests. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we're going to salute today, thanks to John Basiliga and his great Serenity Care Company. We lost them this year, but celebrate them, thanks to John. Like Eli Belavakici, Scranton, Carl Scarantino, Pittston, Bill Sibio, Dunmore, Ronald Coleman, Uniondale, Mary Capwell, Music, and Bill Kernitsky, Scott Township. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, irreplaceable, amazing founding fathers, that government is not, shall not be, and cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups, and it couldn't be controlled by government or government officials, because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Well, if they use it to lie, we could use it to ignore them. That's what freedom does. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense is so complete that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you in a world where a major political party, the Democrats, has gone insane, and there are many, many blindly wagging their tails and following. So the conflict continues. I got asked an interesting question. I was asked, I'm not trying to remember exactly how it was phrased because it was an intelligent question. Are you for this Iraqi war completely, or is there a but in there? And my response was this: there isn't a but there, except that we have to finish the job. The stated objectives are pretty clear. Anybody who's saying they're not, please, just ignore them about everything, including what they had for lunch. They're very clear and have been restated and stated and restated and stated. Essentially, one of the things that was interesting, and this turns out to be accurate, well, it should. He's the Secretary of State and everything else, National Security Advisor. Marco Rubio And I don't think he let it slip. He just basically said, look, Israel was going to go in and do this. And it accelerated our timetable. Unfortunately, and as amazing as it is, the timetable was getting much more difficult the longer time went by. Every month, they were reportedly, the Iranians, making 100 ballistic missiles of various distances, working their way up to intercontinental, which, of course, would then directly threaten the United States. Gordon Chang, who I've met and like, and is one of the foremost experts on China, he claims, and I'm not saying it's 100% true, but he claims one of the triggering factors for all of this was not just Israel's concerns about this missile buildup, but that some secret shipments from Red China had gone to Iran, and the Americans had to be concerned, and as did the Israelis, of course, that these were the dreaded hypersonic cruise missiles and other launch vehicles that would be possibly devastating to our ships at sea. Now, why would China do this? Because as things are developing, the United States and Donald Trump will control a huge portion of the oil that China needs to survive. We're interested. I mean, so the bottom line was their drone capacity and their ballistic missile capacity was becoming such, and Rubio said it at some point, and we don't know when, but each month it was going to get more difficult to do what we had to do to make sure they don't maintain or create nuclear weaponry. Now, why can all these other countries have nuclear weapons, including Israel, but not Iran? It's this simple and this sad. The Iranians were trying to get atomic weapons, nuclear weapons, and ballistic missiles to deliver them in order to use them. Now, I've been talking about this not on the air for a long time, but since the early 2000s. The problem with this theocracy was they were literally going to try to bring about what is the Shiite Muslim equivalent of the end of the world. And they were going to do it by launching nuclear war. And this is how they bring about the 12th Imam returning and taking over the world. You see the similarities with Christian tradition. Christ coming back at the end of the world, the rapture, all of that. But these Shiite Muslims who were passive for almost their entire existence, radicalized by Ayatollah Khomeini, who'd been exiled to France and then returned to take over the country for about a decade until Ayatollah Khamenei, who has been killed along with his son. But their stated intention was that they were attempting to get a nuclear weapon and nuclear weaponry and delivery vehicles for them in order to use them to attack Israel and the United States. That was their stated goal repeatedly, and that nuclear conflict that they would cause would bring about the return of the 12th Imam. I don't pretend or profess to be a Shiite scholar, but that's essentially why they can't have a nuclear weapon, because their intention is not to have it, it's to use it. Not even the North Koreans are that crazy. So keep this in mind, that it literally cannot happen. It cannot be allowed to happen. They can't be allowed, and Rubio said it very clearly, that if they have enough ballistic missiles, we would not be able to degrade their nuclear ambitions maybe ever again. Because you can only knock so many missiles down. We're low. And I was actually happy about this. Laura Ingraham brought it up on her show last night. The United States, through the various conflicts we've been on the fringes of, is scarily low on a number of munitions that we need to prosecute these kind of attacks and to defend Taiwan, for example. It's fascinating. We're going to see. There's a lot of questions, but the bottom line here is there was no exact time. Were we going to wait until Iran had too much capacity with their ballistic missile systems? When were we going to do this? But Israel saying, hey, we've got to go now, spurred us on. And this is something that had to be done. If regime change happens, which is beyond our control, that would be great. But if it doesn't, they need to be degraded and degraded and degraded and degraded. And this is the only way to do it. Scary stuff. But I mean, if you're stupid, like the Democrat Party is, and you say, well, they weren't doing anything wrong. Why do we have? Because they were planning to. Because they said so. And because the Obama deal with Iran allowed them to gain massive power. The Biden foolishness allowing them to ship oil to China made them rich enough again to be a regional and international threat. Stupid policies by stupid people brought us to where we are. And that's scary. It's scary that we could have that dumb a foreign policy establishment in the United States to allow something like this to happen and to allow this clear and present threat to world peace and the world economy to happen right under our noses. Scary. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Classic Elvis. Murph says this date, 1956, Elvis Presley debuted on the charts with his first single, Heartbreak Hotel. And, of course, this date in 1931, the Star-Spangled Banner, written by Francis Scott Key, of course, back in the War of 1812 over Fort McHenry. It becomes the national anthem of the United States, a congressional resolution signed by Herbert Hoover. So Hoover did something good as president. He did a lot of good things prior to being president that were pretty good, but, he was a little feckless as our commander-in-chief. Let's go to Frank from Old Forge on the Iran war. Hey, Frank.
Bob, I did not know that China had sent the shipment of supposed missiles. Right. That's a game changer.
It was and we have not made a definitive determination of what that cargo was, but we had to be very frightened that they had not introduced hypersonic missiles into their Iran. And by the way, it was important enough for them to do so because of the oil supply from Iran.
Well, you know what? You'd have 4,500 minimum dead American Navy men at the bottom of that ocean over there if we hadn't acted. But honestly, good thing there is a continent, an ocean separating us from Iran, because for 47 years, these have been continuous, ongoing attacks, a lot of them thwarted, right? Just because we didn't get hit every time. These guys hate America. They're the supreme America haters. But look at the backstory. Look at the planning. Trump had to take out Venezuela and assume that oil production. I think this was planned at least 1 to 2 years out. You had to take Venezuela because now the Straits of Hormuz, the oil is not flowing. The tankers aren't going through there because it's much too dangerous. So right now, if Trump hadn't done this, right, Iran would have the missiles, right, and the world economy would be controlled by two countries, Iran and Venezuela, because they would shut off the oil spigot immediately.
And China would continue to be supplied because Venezuela and Iran are their main suppliers.
The proxies, right. So you take Russia pretty much off the board because you've taken away the Iranian and Venezuela oil supply, and you also take China. Now, you've taken those guys, but here's the thing, right? The Persians, they were westernized, Bob. So as a result of all this, right, first off, it's like world economy. You've got to prevent it from being stopped. But the second story here could be that, look, those Persians could rise up, take back their country, and become westernized like they were. And what does that mean for the whole Middle East? It
means a lot. No, this
30-year peace dividend
on so many fronts was a necessary attack and a necessary war. We've got to prosecute it aggressively and fully until the American people lose their patience and make sure we win. There's only one choice here. Frank, we got to go, my man. But we got to go, my man. We got to go. We're way past. But call again, though. We appreciate always hearing from you. We got to take this break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man John Basiliga. And today, we feature another of his amazing companies, Serenity Care, the gold standard in senior care living in Northeast Pennsylvania. 4 locations: Jessup, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Dementia units located at the Jessup and Kingston locations. All 4 of these facilities, John completely renovated them inside out. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. They are the gold standard. Because John has a passion for providing the highest quality senior care in the area and beautiful personal care homes for seniors to live in. Serenity Care, your first stop. Carl Scarantino. We lost him February 23rd. He was 86 years old. He was from Pittston. Carl was the devoted husband of Catherine Markowski Scarantino, with whom he shared more than 63 years of marriage. Born and raised in Pittston, Carl proudly served his country in the United States Army, stationed in France. Following his service, he graduated from the University of Scranton and built a successful career, retiring from Prudential while also operating a tax preparation business from his home. Carl's life was a testament to faithfulness, hard work, and love of family, evidenced by his devotion to his wife, Kathy, his service to his country, and the renowned tomatoes he shared with pride. Carl's legacy is carried forward by his 3 children, a slew of grandchildren. He was a great-grandfather to 2. Tragically, I apologize. He's got many other family members. Carl Scarantino. Eli Belavakici. He died February 19th. He was 89 years old. Born in Romania, Eli graduated high school in that country and graduated the University of Ljubljana, Slovenia. Eli invented plastic soda bottles, high-density styrofoam cups, and secured the patents for them at American Can. Eli was also employed as an engineer in the optical quality lens industry and was the developer of the process to manufacture optical lenses at Gentex. Eli was a U.S. Army veteran serving in the infantry. He's survived by his wife, Ursula, 1 son, 2 daughters, 2 sisters, 6 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, and was tragically predeceased by 1 granddaughter, Julia Elizabeth Davies, in 2009. Eli Belavakici. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care, the gold standard in senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker, brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resorts, the place for winter fun. Well, a little rough today as far as that's concerned. Winter weather advisory in effect from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for Bradford, Lackawanna, Luzerne, Susquehanna, and Wyoming counties. I was telling people on the way in, the roads were fine. The sidewalks were treacherous. So if you're a regular walker, either don't walk today or slow down a little bit. Today, cloudy, that mix of freezing rain and snow showers, changing to all rain by the afternoon, high 37. Tonight, cloudy with rain showers, low temperatures holding steady. Wednesday, morning showers, then sunny and milder by afternoon, high 50. Thursday, partly sunny with a chance of showers, high 50 degrees. And, it's going to be it's going to be a little dicey, but our friends at Montage Mountain Resorts, knowing that it was Mountain Fest this weekend and that you would want to ski and snowboard, were making snow so they're ready for warm weather. I really needed to hear that song today. Tina Morocco brings that music to you, and warm weather in Southwest Florida. She's a global sales advisor at Premier Sotheby's International in Naples, and she is your gateway to all of Florida, specializing in Southwest Florida. Tina, how are you?
I'm fabulous, Bob. How are you?
Well, it's gray, it's rainy, it's icy. I really needed to hear the song today.
Well, it's 80 degrees here in Naples, but I know it's not that in Scranton.
No, it isn't. Well, tell us, what's on your mind today?
So today,
other than 80-degree weather.
80-degree weather. The sun is shining here.
Oh,
Palm
Lord.
trees are swaying. I'm actually in Royal Harbor today for a home inspection. I have a buyer that just purchased the property here. And Royal Harbor is about a mile south of downtown Naples. And it's mostly a community for boaters. Most of the homes have, kind of like lifts in the back, jet ski lifts and big boat lifts. What's nice is there's no bridges out to the Gulf. So, you go kind of straight out, which is, really great for a boater to have that great, quick boat access.
That is
But
nice.
also there's no HOA here. And so I know I wanted to talk about the sometimes dreaded HOA here today, because I often get questions about HOAs. And sometimes the first thing that people tell me when they're looking for home searches, I don't want an HOA.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you've heard
It's
that.
it's just an extra cost. It's an extra burden when you're looking at the property. Yeah.
Exactly. But I want to say HOAs are not necessarily a bad thing, especially if you're going to be in the area, not full-time, only part-time, or, snowbird or whatever, because you just have to look at what an HOA includes. And a lot of people are really surprised that sometimes the HOAs include your landscaping, so you don't have to get, a separate landscaper there, to cut your grass, to, take care of your plants. Sometimes the HOA includes cable and internet. So there's another thing that you don't have to worry about setting up. It's all included. Sometimes an HOA in the condos includes your water, so you're not having a separate water bill. And in condos, too, the HOA often includes, building insurance.
Yeah.
So you're not paying for, exterior building repairs and sometimes even the roofs. But I will say the one thing when you're getting into the condos, when you're looking at them, I think the most important part is to look at the budget for the HOA and just make sure that there's enough in reserves. That's a big thing that, when we get special assessments in a community, oftentimes it's because the HOA didn't put aside enough in reserves to make the necessary repairs to the buildings or to the grounds or whatever it is. So,
and that's why they need Tina Morocco, among many reasons, to know, okay, this building and this property is in good shape financially, and it's well run. You don't why is the price so cheap? Well, because there's a bomb coming. Right? Exactly. Yeah, and the other thing with HOAs is, when I drive people around when they first come down, sometimes they're surprised. Some of the neighborhoods, you'll get a lot of really nice homes and then a lot of homes that just haven't been cared for. And I always say, in an HOA community, you're really not going to have that, because the HOA on the single-family home side is really, reminding homeowners like, hey, you got to take care of your landscaping, or hey, you got to, fix this. There's kind of a standard there in the HOA community. Yeah.
So not always a bad thing, just something to be educated on.
And
as
be
you
aware
start
of that. But again, I'm a delegator. I would delegate to Tina Morocco. All right, Tina, tell me the deal. Is this good? Is this bad? Is it indifferent? Am I okay?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Well,
So,
that's a
yeah.
good point. That's a very important point.
My feel
Not
on
always
HOA.
bad. Not always bad. Often
Yeah, not
very
always
good thing.
Right.
Well, Tina, thank you so much. Enjoy the 80 degrees.
Yeah.
I
Thank
was
you.
pelted. I think it was ice was coming from early this morning. Ice was coming from the sky.
But the end is in sight, right? Spring is right around the
It's
corner.
never in sight up here. All right, Tina.
Well,
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, Bob.
All right.
Bye.
Tina Morocco, Global Sales Advisor at Premier Sotheby's International, Naples, Florida. You can reach her at Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com, or look her up at Sotheby's in Naples, Florida. Well, there's something going on this weekend, and I'm excited about it. My son is in a play. John Basiliga, see how everything always comes to the has donated space to the Scranton Shakespeare Festival. And they've got a play going on. And it's nostalgic for me because Brian McGurl is running the show. And when my kids were at Dunmore High School, he and his wife were in charge of the plays, which were always amazing. And now you're riding together again, Brian, all these years later.
That is correct. Still doing it, still together, yeah. Still doing plays.
Tell us about this. Well, all right, so the event space that has been created and donated by John Basiliga is in the marketplace at Steamtown.
In the marketplace at Steamtown. It's on the first floor near between Boscov's and the center court. So that's the Shake Space. Scranton Shakespeare Festival. John Basiliga donates that property for Scranton Shakespeare Festival, which is fantastic. So we use that to put on plays. We have a little kind of a black box theater in there. So they've done a bunch of all their summer season in there, and we have an extended season that they had a show in December and November, December, and now we're doing this one in March. This is Juno and the Paycock by the great Sean O'Casey, the Irish playwright. So this is our second of the kind of Irish series. Last year we did, O'Casey wrote 3 plays called the Dublin Trilogy about the people in Dublin dealing with events from 1916 to 1922 in Ireland, which were critical years from the Easter Rebellion and the Anglo-Irish War, and finally an Irish Civil War. So doing these 2 of the plays so far, Shadow of the Gunman last year, and this year it's Juno and the Paycock, which is really the centerpiece and kind of the masterpiece of the 3 plays.
Well, I did a run through of the script with my son the one day, and I didn't understand a lot of the idioms being used, but I just thought it was funny.
It's a riot. The play's a riot. I mean, they're called tragic comedies, and there is, as with all Irish, there's tragedy somewhere in there, but the laughs come through. I mean, this play it's a riot. It really is a funny play. So. All of his plays are like that. He has a terrific sense of humor. He has a great way of he gets that Irish sense of humor through, and so it's a riot. The play is really funny.
So you put together this gang. Some people you've worked with before, some you haven't, but some experienced actors have come together for this. And what do we have? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon.
Correct. 7 o'clock on Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the Shake Space, and then 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So the show runs, we could be in and out in 2 hours. It's not a full day commitment. It's a doable thing.
I'm excited for this. I just know it's going to be funny, and I don't know.
You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh, and if it works right, you're gonna cry. So
okay.
It's a powerful piece of theater, and it's really funny. I got a terrific cast with some really fantastic people. I'm so thrilled that there's your son included, a number of former students from Dunmore who were involved in the project as well. So I'm thrilled to be able to work with them again, and a number of professionals from the area. So it's a terrific cast.
My man Murph's son is there too. I mean, as I said, you're riding together again. I love it. Now
I love it too.
What a perfect time, and I'm sure that's why you planned it. Heading up to Parade Day.
We always kind of wanted to, Parade Day is a special time for the Irish in Lackawanna County, and I always thought, gee, it'd be great to have some nothing wrong with green beer and parades. I love both of those things, but have some real Irish culture. The Irish are leaders in the world in literature and theater and all sorts of things, and poetry. So it's a chance to get a little bit of Irish history and a little bit of Irish culture. So that's why we're happy that we're able to do it.
Well, I hope we get to hear from you again. I've asked at least one of the actors to check in with us to remind us.
Kelly Jean Graham is supposed to talk to you at some point too. Yeah, so
this is a big deal. It's fun, and people always say, "Well, there's no culture." Yeah, there's tons of culture. There's tons of things going on here, and I think this is a big part of it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us on too, and getting the word out.
Well, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 o'clock. I'm going at least twice. You know what I said? I used to say this in high school when I'd go see the plays that you guys ran in high school. I said, it's not like a football game. They win every night.
That's a good one. It's true.
There's no disappointment. And we're excited. Juno and the Paycock, a great Irish tragicomedy. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 o'clock, Sunday at 2. Brian McGurl, thank you very much.
Bob, thanks for having us. I'll talk to you soon.
Scranton Shakespeare Festival. It is going to be fun. I'm excited for it. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We got the Bloomberg Money Minute in the middle of the action here, and then we'll be back. Is that the same music as At the Hop? Murph says, Danny and the Juniors released their hit, Rock and Roll is Here to Stay. This date, 1958. By the way, we're getting reports that there was a gathering of clergy to pick the new Ayatollah, which is in a theocracy, is the supreme leader in Iran, and that we became aware of it and struck there. I'm going to keep checking sources to see whether that has happened, because you got to remember how many layers of fanatics there are in Iran. Layer upon layer upon layer. So we'll find out if that happened and what the consequences are at some point. And thank you to my man Johnny about that. Now, it is time for the news, because you got to look at your Picardo watch. I look at it often because it's so beautiful, and it's an actual Picardo's watch, and it says 10 o'clock. And so that means the news with Brian Hughes. So let's do that, and then we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. 10:06 a.m. on my Ricardo Jewelers watch. This beautiful but midland weather, Tuesday, March 3, 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Serenity Care personal care community, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John, like Ili Belavakici of Scranton, formerly of Romania, but he was a veteran of this country. Carl Scarantino, Pittston. Bill Sibio, Dunmore. Ronald Coleman, Uniondale. Mary Capwell, Music. And Bill Kronetsky, Scott Township. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense is such that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all. In a world where so many have gone truly insane. So Sunday, and I said I was going to go to the play on Sunday afternoon, and then I found out that Paul Richards, on the 25th anniversary of the launch of the STS-102 mission to the International Space Station, he was a NASA mission specialist. He's a Dunmore native, also a cousin, as we would say in Dunmore. And he's going to be at the Everhart Museum Sunday for two events, a meet and greet and a VIP event and presentation. And it's going to be great because they've got a really neat Hubble exhibit up there. And who better to kick it off than our most famous astronaut, Paul Richards. And he is with us. Paul, welcome back to the Bob Cordaro Show. We haven't had you on in a while.
Yeah, Bob, good to hear you again. And yeah, it's been a while.
It's been too long. Well, I was excited to see this in the paper. And so I said, oh, we've got to go. We got to go. Tell us a little bit about the event that's taking place Sunday.
Yeah, so the event's going to happen, as you said, on the 25th anniversary of the launch of the mission I flew on. And we have two events. We have an open event from 1 to 3, and about 1:30 I'll give a presentation of my post-mission video and then maybe some hands-on. This would be really suitable for, children, kids, young adults. I have an interactive kind of perspective thing I'll do and answer, have some Q&A as well. And then in the evening, we have a more toned down VIP event. And I think we'll have a fireside chat at that one where I'll be interviewed, answer some questions from the moderator and then take questions from the crowd as well.
What time does that second event start?
I believe that's 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, so you have a long day ahead of you at the Everhart. But long missions are nothing new to you.
Yes.
So when you went into space and you went on the shuttle, at that time, am I recalling this correctly? You had one of the longest spacewalks that had ever taken place.
Actually, yeah, that was that was the Spacewalk 1 that Jim and Susan did prior to me going out on the second one, and that was that was the longest one because they had to stay in the airlock while we reboosted the station. So they were in the airlock probably a good hour and a half, and since we had to reboost the station because we wanted to miss a piece of debris that was floating and could possibly collide, we didn't have time to repressurize the airlock. So they went on umbilicals, stayed put for an hour or two until we reboosted the space station with the shuttle engines. And then we were able to get them back inside.
Is there a simple way you could describe, because we haven't talked about this for a couple of years, that you could describe what it was like to be floating in space?
Well, the training that they do, that NASA does, is just incredible, and a lot of the entire mission, felt like I had already done it. In fact, I would get confused sometimes after the mission whether something actually happened in training or on orbit.
Yeah.
The two things that they can't train you on is the extended floating around, which is actually you're in free fall. We do it on the Vomit Comet for 28 seconds, but to do it for 12, 13 days, or some of my colleagues do it for, almost a year, they can't train that. And then the view outside, looking in or looking down at Earth, that is something that is just spectacular and very moving. And that part they don't train. That's something you actually have to experience on orbit.
I remember being with your sister Sandy. We were at Toots's Bar in Dunmore for the parade day, and I I looked at her and I said, "Do you realize he is circling us up above right now as we speak?"
That's right.
Incredible.
I forgot that was parade day. That was parade day. I know there was like a snowstorm. Yeah, there was a snowstorm up in Boston for my family trying to come down there, and parade day. Yeah, I was kind of focused on other things. I might have forgot that when I was up there.
I wouldn't be thinking about Toots's Bar then either. What was it like, your time in the space station?
So the space station, it's like it's interesting. So the orbiter, which a lot of people call the shuttle, is like 7 people in a 4-man tent. It's very compact, kind of small. The flight deck's very small. The mid deck is a little bit larger, and then we connect to the space station, which is much larger. The docking module and then the laboratory module is about the size of the interior of a school bus. And so what was interesting is when you come through the tunnel, though, there's no up and down, and we have to place what up and down is. And it was reversed 180 of the so-called up and down. So your brain would have to switch, and everything would just flip in your head once you came through the station, and then you flip 180 and then go about it. But it's much roomier. It has a lot more volume, and so it was pretty interesting. And again, I was just there in the beginning. 25 years since they've extended it, and it is enormous right now. In fact, even all 4 solar arrays are on, all the radiators are on, all the modules are on. They're looking at extending the life of it coming up to 2032, and you can go online and see when it passes overhead.
Wow. That's something that people should do. I mean, we use the internet for a lot of silly things. That would be pretty interesting. I'm going to have to do that. So what year did you go up?
2001. It was like the 2001 A Space Odyssey, which oddly enough was the flight of the spaceship Discovery in the year 2001. And we were the flight of the spaceship Discovery in the year 2001.
How did you come back down from that insane experience? And there was a lot of hoopla, particularly in your hometown of Dunmore afterwards. How did you come down and return to normal life?
Yeah, it's, there's the physiological effects that you have to overcome and take a day or two. We were sprinting, so we actually annoy sometimes the station crew because they're more on an 8-hour day, and we were on 16-hour days, and they got very little sleep. And I remember coming back, and we had a medical experiment to do because, part of the flight was 2 different medical experiments. And this one was about orthostatic intolerance, about passing out with your vestibular system. And I started falling asleep during the post-flight experiment because I was so exhausted. And then, you get special treatment, you get reserved parking spots, and there's a lot that's given to you but it's about position, not really about you yourself. And then the next crew that goes up, they're in that position, and they get that treatment, the training, and everybody supports them, and so on and so on.
So you've had you were an engineer by trade out of Drexel, and you went back to that in terms of your career. Tell us what you're up to these days.
Yeah. So after I retired from NASA, so I flew and then I did private industry for a little bit, but I miss building shiny things that fly in space. So I went back to NASA and became a program manager for the next generation weather satellites called GOES-R. Then I did laser comm satellites, and then for another 5 years. And then 2019, I retired, worked some national security space, but then really liked working with smaller companies, and then got the startup bug. Moved out to Seattle for 2 years with a startup that lasted 6 weeks. So I learned quick the startup world, but ended up working with Amazon Kuiper, developing their satellites. And then now I'm with another startup, moved to Boston for 2 years to turn around another startup, space startup. And I'm still with them, but I'm back in Annapolis, Maryland, where we kept our house, because most of my job is going to Congress and to the Pentagon and our customers down in D.C. And so it was much easier to do that by living proximate to D.C.
Yeah. Well, that is neat stuff. It's been an amazing career for you, and I think you can share a lot of that with people. Are you going to talk? It read that you were going to talk a little bit about the Hubble when you appear at the Everhart Sunday afternoon and night.
Yeah, they have an exhibit that has a NASA exhibit, and it has things from the Hubble. And of course, Hubble, I worked as an engineer, not as a astronaut. So I worked, and that's what got me. And I worked on the servicing missions, doing EVA, which is spacewalking astronaut tools. And so I did that for the first and second servicing mission for Hubble. And so I know quite a bit about the Hubble telescope, and yeah, I can answer questions on that as well.
Well, that's going to be fun. Sunday afternoon, starting at 1 o'clock, 1 to 3 p.m., there's one event. And then 6 o'clock is a second private event with Paul Richards, Dunmore's own astronaut, and an engineer extraordinaire who's going to take people through his experiences and, of course, all the things he knows about Hubble that we just outlined. We are going to love having you back to town. Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, going to visit some family up there. My mother lives up there still, and I've got sisters in the area. Yeah, and so it's an opportunity to see family, friends, and then have these two events. So I'm looking forward to a really good weekend.
All right. Paul Richards, our astronaut. We will see him Sunday at the Everhart Museum. Great event to go to, guys. Great event. Thanks again, Paul.
All right. Take care, Bob.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Murph tells us this date, 1969. Led Zeppelin recorded Dazed and Confused for the program Top Gear on BBC Radio at the Playhouse in London. Murph tells us all of this. And of course, 1959, the United States launched the Pioneer 4 spacecraft, which flies by the moon. And Bulldog had that appropriately right after our conversation with Paul Richards, our very own homegrown astronaut. How great is that? We get to talk to him Sunday. Somebody texts in, good morning and greetings, Bob. AALTS. I now understand why the Dems are upset about not being made aware of the attack on Iran. They can't pull another Mark Milley and call China or warn Iran of a surprise attack. I know. And then one of our great listeners, he says, it's a great pleasure to listen to the St. Bob Cordaro show. Thank you. Somebody else saying, I think sarcastically, man, if only there was a deal in place to keep an eye on Iran's nuclear capability and we wouldn't be here. Yeah, are you actually, I don't know. And you can't tell the subtleties. The agreement with Iran had failed utterly, completely, and they were fourscore charging ahead with ballistic missile development and nuclear development until Trump knocked it out. They don't agree to anything. There is no deal with Iran. They're fanatical Islamists, and they don't care about any deal. They're allowed under their religion to lie to advance their sick agenda. So you're mistaken, horribly mistaken. Thank God there are no longer people of your mindset in charge. People asking, why now? Well, the bottom line is, when were you going to do it? We waited decades. We waited 47 years to do this. What the hell are you talking about? Why now? That's idiotic. Again, when you get into the discussions with people who disagree with common sense policies, what they do is they try to win a tiny point and then say, aha, when their entire argument is lacking in any meaningful substance. Why now? Rubio said it very clearly. Because their buildup of ballistic missiles was such that at some point very soon we would not be able to easily attack them, and they would be able to defend their crazy, and that's what they are, their crazy nuclear ambitions. And without making them fight us, they would be able to hit anybody in the Middle East, which they're doing now. Somebody talk about it. Look at the trouble. Somebody texted in. Look at the trouble they're causing with the drones and missiles they have. And that's without a functional government. Amen. Why now? That is so stupid. It's childish. That's like, again, it's like a little child's argument. Why now? Because their intent is to kill us and to start World War III. It is their stated intent. And if you haven't been paying attention to the Iranians and their mullahs over the last 47 years, well, then maybe you'd make a silly statement like that. Somebody texts back listening to, I don't know what, NNJ. I don't know what that is. Anyway, hearing about Rubio stating that Israel was going to attack, so they knew they would retaliate, so that led to our attack. It makes sense, but it sounds to me like Bibi didn't like the U.S. making a deal with Iran. Well, no, there's the flaw in your statement. there was going to be no deal with Iran. They stated so. They were not going to stop funding the Houthis. They were not going to stop funding Hezbollah. They were not going to stop funding Hamas. And they were not going to stop building ballistic missiles and developing it. And they were not going to stop their nuclear program. Now, you finish with a statement of logic, but it would be hard to trust the Islamic Republic anyway. It had, by the way, if the negotiations had gone well, if there were actual negotiations, if they were actually going to do something to take away the threat, yeah. But that's not in the cards with these people. They're sick. They're insane. You can't deal with them like they're normal. It's just like the Democrat Party of today. You can't deal with them like you pretend they're normal, you'll get nowhere. Dear Bob ALTS says the Democrats forgotten Neville Chamberlain, peace in our time. I know. And somebody saying what I had mentioned earlier, just saw on Fox at the top of the hour, Israel took out a compound where the Iranian council was made to appoint a new cleric leader. They may be all dead. The listener says, I think instead of bombing them, we should have just sent them another boatload of cash and said, boo. Then they would behave. I know. That's how stupid the other side's argument is. It's childish. Well, how do you argue with a child? Seriously. At some point, you got to say, because I said so. All right, we're a little bit over time. Bunch of calls lined up, but we've got to take a break. We want to listen to our great sponsors. We want to come back and do a tribute to our veterans this hour, the weather, and then we're going to have a quick conversation with Alex Picardo because there's a big event at Picardo's this weekend, and then we're going to get to all of our other calls. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by a super patriot and friend of the vets, John Basiliga, also the friend of the theater, as we learned with the Shakespeare events taking place this week. Serenity Care Personal Care Community is one of his great companies. 4 locations: Jessup, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. All 4 of these facilities have been completely renovated inside and out, and they're accepting new residents. John has a passion for providing the highest quality senior care in the area. It is the gold standard. And these beautiful personal care homes for yourself as a senior or a family member to live in, you know they'll be taken care of. Serenity Care, Personal Care Community. Ronald Coleman. We lost him February 23rd at the age of 79. He was from Uniondale. His wife, the former Marie Kuhenbeeker Coleman, passed in 2015. Born in Carbondale, he was a former member of the Uniondale Presbyterian Church. Graduate of Forest City Regional High School, class of 1964. He was a veteran of our great Pennsylvania National Guard. Prior to retirement, he was employed by Quarry Hill Farm in Uniondale. He'd been previously employed by PennDOT. Member of the board of directors of the Uniondale Cemetery Association. Cousins from the Yale family and a number of friends survive him. Preceded in death by his sister, Kathy Fitzpatrick. Ronald Coleman. William A. Bill Sibio. He passed February 19th. He was from Dunmore. He and his wife, the former Barbara Zajura, had celebrated 61 years of marriage. Born in Dunmore, a graduate of Dunmore High School, class of 58. He served all of us in the U.S. Army Reserve. Before retirement, Bill had a long career in automotive sales. He was actively engaged in multiple car clubs with his beloved 1940 Chevy. He was also an avid supporter of classic car and hot rod events in Northeast PA. He loved bowling, and he was a musician involved with various bands throughout his life. Survived by a daughter, sons, 5 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren, step-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, and other family members. Bill Sibio. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Montage Mountain Resorts bringing you this weather, and they're letting you know there's a winter weather advisory in effect 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Bradford, Lackawanna, Luzerne, Susquehanna, and Wyoming counties. There'll be a cloudy with a mix of freezing rain and snow showers in the morning, changing to all rain by the afternoon. High will be 37, 32 outside the studios as I speak. Tonight, cloudy with rain showers, low, temperatures holding steady. Wednesday, morning showers, then sunny and milder by afternoon, high 50. Thursday, partly sunny with a chance of showers, high 50. And then it warms up from there. And Montage Mountain's bringing you Mountain Fest this weekend with that beautiful high 50s. And I heard Snedeker say maybe even 60-degree weather over the weekend. Well, you know what that theme song is. That means Bacardo's Jewelers. And they're not just a jewelry store, but they are an amazing one. But they've got Raymond Weil, Breitling, Oris, Longines, Michelle, Shinola, Luminox, Swiss Army, Seiko, Tory Burch, Victorinox, Boulevard, G-Shock, and more, including my very own Bacardo Jewelers watch brand. But it's jewelry going on this weekend. Saturday, big day. And here's Alex Bacardo to tell us about it. Alex, how are you, brother?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Even better now that I'm talking with you. Tell us.
Absolutely.
Tell us, what is happening Saturday?
Well, this Saturday, March 7th, all day, is my annual wedding band sale. I have a ton of bands at old gold prices. We do natural. We do lab-grown. We have men's. We have literally, like I always say, something for everybody at any budget. I'm also offering free layaway, a big discount on all of our products. And again, the layaway is nice. You could put it away. There's no interest. There's no charges. You can make payments. We make this easy and affordable to everybody. And it's this Saturday, March 7th, all day.
Now, and this is one day only deal, although I mean, the prices are always good and all that flexibility. But this Saturday is special.
Yes, we do it once a year and only one day a year because we do a legitimate sale. We take everything that we have, even at the older prices. We put it up for 15 to 20% off, free layaways, free sizings. We do it all. We do it all in-house, so it's a couple days unless we're ordering something. But we do it once a year for that reason. We give everyone a good sale. It gives people a chance to come in also, to see the new store. Maybe you didn't feel comfortable at first, but now it gives you a reason to come in.
Comfortable.
So
I got coffee. Nice I had a cocktail. I had coffee.
You get it all at Cordaro.
I look forward to it. And then to hear you guys talking, I just love it. And I learn a lot, too, by the way.
Yeah,
I learn
it's
a lot.
Fun. I mean, we're just down-to-earth guys. And, again, that's how we run our business, and it's fun. You come in, we treat you like family, and you'll always be treated like that.
What are the hours on this Saturday?
This Saturday, we're going to be from 10 to 5.
Okay, and you'll be there because you're always there.
That's correct. That's correct. I will be here, so you could come in. You could ask for me if that makes you feel comfortable, and we'll get you the wedding band that you always wanted.
So wedding band
and
sale.
For the price that you want.
That's the important part. Because, hey, people have all different budgets and can afford all different things. That's the thing that Bacardo's does better than anybody is they bring it to whatever level and always with class, no matter the price.
Always with class. I have men's bands starting around $70 and up, and they're beautiful. They're not cheap. They're very nice.
Yeah.
Like I said, younger couples starting off, I can get you in any kind of ring that you want that you'll be proud of having on your hand.
Well, we may want to remind people of this on Friday, but thank you, Alex. The wedding band sale, 10 to 5 at Bacardo Jewelers, downtown Scranton, Saturday.
This Saturday.
All right,
yes, sir.
man. Thank you.
And I will be calling back in on Friday to bother you.
Beautiful. Love it. All right, Alex Bacardo Jewelers. We'll take a break. We'll be back. We're going to get to the phones. The fifth dimension. Aquarius, Let the Sunshine In. Murph says they released that great hit March 3rd, 1969. All right, let's. Ray from Pittston's been the most patient. Thank you, my friend. How are you?
Are you speaking to me, Ray?
I got you, Ray. That's you.
Yeah, Bob. Including the two that do your show in the morning. There's too many people out there saying all this money going to the war should be going to Medicaid and Medicare to help with insurance. I can't stress enough how Donald Trump has better insurance plans out there, and the Democrats don't want to upset the apple cart with Obamacare because of the kickback, and I'll say it because that's what it is.
Well,
But
Ray, the other
plans
part
out
about
there.
it is they didn't say a word when Biden raided Medicare. He raided the Part B. And it was outrageous, and they did it, and nobody reported on it, and they don't care. You got to remember, you got to be a hypocrite and a liar to support today's Democrat Party.
Yeah, like I said, there's better plans out there. The one company I'm with, I don't want to give them advertisement on the phone, but they have great plans you can go with, and it's a lot cheaper than Obamacare. So I don't know why the word isn't getting out there with these people, and we're spending money on a war. No, we should have waited until Iran hit us with a nuke and killed a lot of more people. Let's wait for that.
Their stated attempt to bring back the 12th Imam was to cause World War III. That was their stated effort. Yeah, we should have waited. Go ahead.
And the last thing I'll close out on, I hope Omar is going to be investigated by the IRS as to where she got out her millions and gets deported real quick.
Amen. Thanks, Ray. Elton John. Murph says he had his second number one album. This date, 1973. It was called Don't Shoot Me. I'm only the piano player. Murph chose Crocodile Rock from that album. And we're going to choose Lorraine for a poem because we have probably just enough time to squeeze it in here. Hi, Lorraine.
Yo, hi, Bob.
How are you, dear?
Like the weather. So draw your conclusions from that.
Okay. Well, you got a poem for us now, dear, to finish the hour. Talk to me.
Okay. I got a minute. Okay, don't give up. When you look up, do you see a clear blue sky? Or do you manage to always find a cloud? Do you speak softly to someone you encounter? Or do you seem to always speak in a voice that's loud? Do you try and seek some good in each day? Or do you seem to always find sorrow? Guaranteed that life is often very rough, but you may be surprised if things get a little better tomorrow. Our Lord did not promise us a lifetime without pain. He wants us to completely trust in Him. If we try and persevere with our trials and tribulations, we may discover that our situations do not seem so grim. When you look around, it's easy to become discouraged because in this day and age, we may simply want to give up hope. It is then that we need to pray harder. This practice will hopefully grant us the strength to cope.
There you go. And it does. And prayer works.
Well, then I'd be dancing in the street like Martha and the Vandellas.
You are such you're a troublemaker. You know that, don't you?
Okay, I'll agree with you. I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood for any confrontation. Not today.
All right. Well,
I'm in the mood for love.
Thank you for the poem.
Okay, Fuzzy Wuzzy.
We appreciate it, my dear. Always a pleasure.
And pretty soon, my St. Patrick's Day poem, Mark, if you're listening.
Oh, yeah. We'll get that from Mark Mayer. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, darling. Thank you, as always.
Okay, so long.
Good. Hey, let's sneak in Luciano from Luzerne County.
Yeah.
That's your theme song. Don't you worry about it. You can talk right over it.
Yes, Bob, let me just make this perfectly clear. I do not apologize or I'm sorry that I voted for Donald Trump. And the second one was the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis. He's my second in line. I have no regrets. I've pondered it, contemplated it. I have perfect peace that I voted for President
Could you imagine
Donald Trump.
if Kamala Harris and the clown show that she was part of were still running this country? Oh, my God.
We would have been in the Twilight Zone. We would have been in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and we would have been lost in space.
Unreal. I mean, the thought of it just repulses me every time I think of it.
And yes, and let me just say this, please. I appreciate your program. My family lives in Arlington, Texas. This is probably 15 miles, 20 miles away from major city, Dallas, Texas. I want to take back what I told the other talk show host, the lady. I do approve of Donald Trump in murdering. No, excuse me. The devil made me say that. Attacking and killing this dictator from Iran. But do you know?
Well, Israel actually did that. Israel actually did that, and they launched more attacks on their clerics today. And I don't think we lost any good people there.
The only problem I have is for soldiers on land. Air attacks is fine, but soldiers being planted in Iranian territory, I have a lot of questions. But I support Donald Trump completely. I love Donald Trump. I love America, and I love this country, and I love my mother and father. God bless you, brother.
Thank you,
Take
Luciano.
Care.
Well, my Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 11 o'clock. It's time for the news. And just like a real pro, he landed right where he needed to. We'll take this break for the news, and then we'll be back. We got Rick Bigelow. He's got some interesting insights, and we're going to discuss the history of the United States' relationship with Iran after the news with Brian Hughes. Great good morning, everyone. Cordaro Jewelers, your everything watch store. Time is 11:10 and change. It's all here in the great Northeast this beautiful, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great Serenity Care personal care community, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we honor today, thanks to John, but whom we sadly lost this year, like Ronald Coleman, Uniondale, Bill Sibio, Dunmore, Ely Belavakici, Scranton, Carl Scarantino, Pittston, Bill Kronitsky, Scott Township, and Mary Capwell, Music. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that for the balance of this hour, our commitment to common sense will be so extravagant that we will promise a sanctuary of sanity for all of you in a world where Trump haters and basically the entire Democrat Party, except on the national level for John Fetterman, have gone insane. Totally insane. Somebody texted in, liberalism is indeed a mental disorder. Just reading a story in the Post, the supposed moderate Virginia governor, she's a whack job. She just ordered no police cooperation with ICE, just as an illegal alien with 30 prior arrests and a deportation order stabbed an innocent woman to death at a bus stop. This is the same mindset that is saying, why now in Iran? We should just wait until they bomb an Air Force base or kill another few thousand Americans. It is indeed a mental disorder. Yep. Another texter says, how many times can you chant death to America before you get attacked for it? Why now? Because it's time to stop ignoring their BS. It was crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Why now was the basis for Sue Henry's show yesterday. Somebody hinted that Trump did it to deflect from the Epstein thing. That is so stupid. I mean, people say this stuff. Sue didn't say that. It's a mental disorder. Drove from Trips Park. The mainstream media had all weekend to come up with a narrative, and all they came up with was why are they even trying anymore? And you got Kamala Harris. They allowed this nation to become rich, to attack Israel, to continue to kill Americans. It's insane. It's literal insanity. Please don't give it any credit. Do not give it any credit. And we've got to execute this plan to the best of our ability and crush that entire fanatical leadership class. Wow. I just even asked the question. It betrays deep stupidity. Sad. Anyway, speaking of stupidity, I like to go to something great. And I'll have two things in a row for you. One, beyond great, and that's Mother Teresa for March 3rd. She says, be happy in the moment. That's enough. Each moment is all we need, not more. And thank you, Mary Regina. Mother Teresa. And so he's not nearly as great, but I put him pretty high up there. He's our man, Rick Bigelow, and he is with us to discuss the history we have with Iran. How are you, Rick?
Doing fine, Bob. How about you?
It's good to have you again. Well, we've got a complicated history with Iran, and the Iranian people, I would say even the majority of them, love the United States of America. They seem to want to go back to the secular state they were, and but you say there are some factors in history that are inhibiting whatever is going to take place next in Iran.
Yeah, you're right. And, as we were looking at Iran and Iraq back in the 90s, I was always struck by how much hatred there was for the United States and for the Western world in general. At the time that the Ayatollah Khomeini came into power, and Iran seemed to go from a moderate nation to a very left-leaning, anti-Western type of nation almost overnight. So we looked into the history of it, and of course, Iran has been around for a long time. It was unified as Persia in the 7th century BC. It was conquered by many different factions, including Alexander the Great in the 4th century BC. It was conquered by the Mongols in the 13th century. And in the 7th century AD, it was conquered by the Arab Muslims, and they brought Muslim Islam into Iran. In the 16th century, a unified Persian state was reestablished with Shia Islam as the official religion. In the late 1700s, a Turkish Qajar dynasty rose to power and established Tehran as the capital, and it's been the capital ever since. So a lot of the issues we've had with Iran center on the oil industry. And of course, oil's been used in Persia for lamps, heating, waterproofing, whatnot for thousands of years. But it wasn't until the early 1900s that large commercially viable deposits of oil were discovered by a British consortium. And this is important because this was about the time that the British Navy was transitioning from coal to oil under Lord of the Admiralty Winston Churchill. So securing large deposits of oil was increasingly important to the British. 1909, the Anglo-Persian Oil Company was formed with the British government controlling the company until after World War II. So the Brits paid Iran $4 for each ton of crude oil exported and forbade the Iranians from controlling exports. So this amounted to about 70 cents per barrel of crude oil that the Iranians were getting for oil that was coming out of their nation. So I think this was one of the original points of contention that started to turn some of the Iranian people against the Western nations, and in particular at
By the way,
time,
the Brits back then better not give Trump any ideas now. He might like that deal.
I'm sure he's thinking about it, and thinking about it in Venezuela too. So, but it wasn't until after World War II that large-scale production of oil began from Iran. But the Iranians wanted to exercise greater control and realize greater profits. So they slowly took over oil production from Western companies. And fast forwarding to today, and Iran has among the world's largest oil reserves. Sanctions have kept them from fully capitalizing on these reserves. But even with the sanctions, Iran is among the top 5 nations in exporting oil, and much of it goes to China. It seems wherever there are issues in the world today, we find the tentacles of China involved in it. So let me talk about the Pahlavi dynasty, the Shahs. The Pahlavi dynasty was established in 1925 by Reza Shah Pahlavi. He was originally Reza Khan, army officer, politician, minister of war, and then prime minister. He was elected Shah following the deposition of the last monarch from the Qajar dynasty from Turkey. Persian, which is Iran, had become a battleground following the Russian Revolution. The USSR actually annexed part of northern Iran, and the British controlled much of the rest of Iran. In 1921, the Soviets and the Iranians signed a peace treaty. The Soviets withdrew, but despite this communist influence in northern Iran, was very prevalent, and arguably there's still some communist influence in northern Iran today. The British remained the dominant foreign power in Iran and actually endeavored to make Iran a British protectorate, which the Iranian people summarily rejected. And like I said, this was all about ensuring Iranian oil was going to be controlled by the British. This was opposed by Iranian Prime Minister Reza Pahlavi, and he was elected Shah of Iran. Reza Shah embarked on a period of modernization, including railroads, industries, universities, and most significantly, the unveiling of women and respect for the Jews. He also changed the name of the country from Persia to Iran, and Iran in English means land of the Aryans, which is interesting because Aryan was, I guess, co-opted by some unknowledgeable Nazi propagandists.
And that always bothered me.
Yeah.
The Aryans were Persian, and Hitler took it. And for what? Well, I always say this: you can't be a complete maniac and smart at the same time. So,
yeah, they transitioned it to a Nordic race of people, but the Aryans, and have been for thousands of years, are an Indo-Persian background of people. So it was just one of those weird inconsistencies. So in August 1941, the British and the Soviets invaded Iran. And this is another black mark on Western powers as far as the Iranian people were concerned. The invasion took place 2 months after Operation Barbarossa, which was the German invasion of the Soviet Union, and then the Soviets allied with the British. It was also less than 2 months after Allied victories over pro-Axis, pro-German forces in neighboring Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. So the British are all over this from the early 1900s on. So this invasion's strategic purpose was to ensure the safety of Allied supply lines to the Soviet Union, secure the Iranian oil fields, and make sure they didn't go to German influence. Reza Shah, who was the father of the Shah of Iran we know, had kind of cozied up to the Germans to offset the British and Soviet spheres of influence and to prevent a possible Axis advance from Turkey through Iran towards the Baku oil fields or British India. So it's important to note that during World War II, there were three major supply routes from the west to the Soviet Union: the North Atlantic convoys, Pacific convoys from the west coast of the U.S. to Siberia, and the Persian route through Iran into the Soviet Union. So he wanted to keep all three of those supply routes into the Soviet Union open. So this invasion was another black mark against the Western powers and increased anti-Western sentiment in Iran. So following this invasion, under pressure from the British, Reza Shah abdicated in favor of his son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who we know as the Shah of Iran, who ruled basically from the mid-1940s through 1971.
Rick, we're going to take a break there. We've got to get to our sponsors, a little history and all of that. Rick Bigelow is our guest. The history of Iran is our subject. We'll take a break and be back to discuss that further with Rick Bigelow after this. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you dutifully, loyally, patriotically by our man John Basiliga. And today, as in every Tuesday, we spotlight Serenity Care Personal Care Community. The senior care facilities with 4 locations: Jessup, Old Forge, Wyoming, and Kingston. Dementia care services in Jessup and Kingston. All of these facilities have been completely renovated and are accepting new residents. And they live the passion that John Basiliga has for providing the highest quality senior care in the area and beautiful personal care homes for seniors to live in. Serenity Care, the gold standard for senior care in Northeast Pennsylvania. Mary Capwell, she was 74. She passed on February 24th this year. She was from Moosic. Born in Scranton, graduate of West Scranton High School class of 1969. She proudly served all of us in the United States Army, earning the rank of Staff Sergeant. She was a member of the Women's Army Corps. Active duty from 1969 to 1974. She then continued serving the Army Reserves until 2011. Prior to retirement, she worked for 32 years at the VA Medical Center. She loved spending time with her canine friends and family, especially her nieces and nephews, who were like children to her. She enjoyed nature and being outdoors. Surviving sisters, including a twin sister, a brother, nieces, nephews, and other family members. Mary Capwell. William Bill Krenitsky. He died February 23rd at age 96. He was from Scott Township. He passed away peacefully on Monday in the home he helped build and where he lovingly raised his family. His beloved wife and sweetheart, Marina Kukab Krenitsky, preceded him in death in 2000. Born in 1930 on East Scott Street in the Fern Hills section of Oliphant, he was a 1947 graduate of Oliphant High School. He continued his education at Johnson Trade School, following the footsteps of his brothers. The second youngest of 13 children in a proud immigrant family from Eastern European region of Galicia, now southeastern Poland and western Ukraine. To his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, he was affectionately known as Didi. From 1951 to 1953, Bill served this country as a private first class in the United States Armed Forces, excelling as a machinist working on heavy equipment during the Korean War. Following his military service, he married Marina, his wife, in 1955. Worked as a machinist at General Dynamics in Einan until retiring in 1990. His entrepreneurial spirit led him to open the Barracuda Bar in Peckville with his brother Peter. And later, with 2 sons, they opened and operated Quinn's Market in Archbald and Peckville. He became a fixture at Quinn's, known for orchestrating unforgettable pranks. And often accused with a smile of pocketing the best produce. Cherries were his favorite. A lifelong learner, tireless tinkerer. He was also a lifelong parishioner of St. Cyril and Methodius Ukrainian Catholic Church in Oliphant. Bill loved puzzles and sporting events of all kinds. Survived by his daughters, sons, 16 grandchildren, 23 great-grandchildren, 2 great-great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and other family members. An amazing legacy, Bill Krenitsky. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by Serenity Care, the amazing personal care community owned by John Basiliga. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker, brought to you by our pals, our great friends at Montage Mountain Resorts this week. Just a reminder, this week and 6th and 7th is Mountain Fest, another great reason to be there, and it'll be great skiing weather. Winter weather advisory in effect 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Bradford, Lackawanna, Luzerne, Susquehanna, Wyoming counties. Today, cloudy with a mix of freezing rain and snow showers this morning, changing to all rain by afternoon, high 37. Tonight, cloudy with rain showers. Temperatures will hold steady in the mid-30s. Wednesday, morning showers, then sunny and milder by afternoon, high 50. Thursday, partly sunny with a chance of showers, high 50. And this weekend, it gets even better. And that's the weather brought to you by our great friends at Montage Mountain Resorts, the place to have warm weather winter fun. That song reminds me of two of my favorites, now gone, Jerry Tomasetti and Doc Doherty. Murph says this date, 1973, Neil Diamond moved up to number 5 on the album charts with Hot August Night. And Murph picked Sweet Caroline, the anthem from Neil Diamond. Talking with Rick Bigelow, and lots of stuff going on. Rick, take us into the Shah of Iran that we all knew.
Okay, I think the important thing that happened was in 1951, the Iranian parliament, which was led by Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, voted to nationalize the British-owned oil industry. Under British pressure, Mossadegh was removed from power by the Shah. So a popular uprising caused the Shah to reinstate Mossadegh. Mossadegh forced the Shah into a brief exile in 1953 following a failed military coup. So at this point in time, the British MI6 and the U.S. CIA aided a coup to force Mossadegh from power. He was arrested, tried for treason, found guilty, and sentenced to house arrest, and his foreign minister was actually executed. So the Shah's back in power, and I think this was the first time that people in Iran actually became aware of the U.S. CIA and particularly the British MI6. And I think this really turned Iranian public sentiment against the U.S. and especially the U.K. So the Shah's back in power. He suppressed oppression, had a 25-year extended period of dictatorial rule. He had strong American support up until the Islamic Revolution in 1978. And at this point in time, America became the face of the Western world, replacing the British. So all during the Shah's reign, he westernized much of the nation, including investing in nuclear power. He had a big share in the French-led uranium enrichment consortium. And so this is where the Iranians started to get some knowledge about nuclear power and enriching uranium, and eventually that could be transitioned into nuclear weapons. During the Shah's reign, his secret police, which was known as the Savak, imprisoned thousands of dissenters and allegedly executed several thousand. current estimates are that these numbers were inflated by anti-Shah forces with the help of Soviet communists who are always there to stir things up. So just to put things in perspective, after the Islamic Revolution took place, supposedly some 50,000 have been executed, killed by the Islamic regime since 1979, and that includes the current uprisings. So in 1978-79, protests against the ailing Shah swept the country. He left the country. A referendum was held, and 99% of the population approved transitioning from a monarchy to an Islamic republic, and of course, being more anti-Western and anti-U.S. Khomeini returns in February of 1979. Then we had the November 4, 1979 seizure of the U.S. Embassy. And all during this time, Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein sought to take advantage of the turmoil in Iran, and the Iraqi army invaded Iran on September 22, 1980. So there was an 8-year war, and both sides lost over 200,000 soldiers in that war. And it's particularly telling that one of the Iranians' major methods of clearing Iraqi minefields was to send kids in uniform over the minefields, and they would detect mines by explode them and kill them. So that just showed the savagery and indifference to human life of the Iranian Islamic regime.
Quite amazing. Rick, we've got to take a break. We're going to do so, and then we'll come back. Rick Bigelow, the history of Iran and why maybe some of them don't like us. We'll take a break and be back. Well, that tells us it's time for Tyler from Montage. How are you, Tyler?
Good. How are you doing?
I hope you like your theme song.
Thanks.
Well, tell us, this is Mountain Fest this weekend. This is a big deal.
This is a big deal. It's the biggest deal that we have all year. It's definitely our favorite weekend of the year. And I know I've been saying that once a week, it seems like, but for serious, this is our biggest, most fun, most exciting, and favorite weekend of the year.
Tell us what happens, and when does it start, and then what happens?
Great question. So it all kicks off this Friday. We have Preston and Steve's Cardboard Classic, where people just come from all over the state, really, at this point, with these wild, creative monstrosity cardboard box creations. So some are simple; it's just a cardboard box, and people ride in it down the slope. Others look like T-Rexes or houses or some crazy vehicles, cars, trucks, what have you. So people spend all year, literally 12 months, putting time into making these cardboard boxes. They trailer them in from all over the state, and they race them down a ski slope at 10 a.m. Friday morning. So that's super exciting.
That is
immediately fun. Following that. Oh yeah, it's
I've
the
seen
most
that.
fun thing you can watch.
It is really funny.
It is the best. Following that, we have a performance on a big outdoor stage by the M80s. It's an 80s cover band. And then, of course, there's skiing and snowboarding. There's local entertainment into the night on Friday. It's great. Saturday, it starts off all over again, where we have what we call pond skim first thing in the morning. And that's where you ski or snowboard down the mountain, and you try to skim yourself across a literal pond of water. And as you can imagine, some are very successful, and it's quite the sight to see, and others are unsuccessful, which might be a little more entertaining for the spectators. But that's a great time, especially with the weather we're expecting this weekend. It'll be fun, warm, awesome. Immediately following that, around 2 o'clock, we have a live performance by Wheatus, most famous for Teenage Dirtbag. We're super excited to have them. And then the headlining part of the entire day, the entire weekend, is a live performance by Sugar Ray, playing all the classics.
Nice.
And then, of course, as soon as that's over, there's fireworks out in the snow and live entertainment until probably like 11 o'clock inside. So no matter what time you come, there's fun for everyone. And for the observer, most of the weekend is free. Friday is completely free to watch all of that, just to come on up and check it out. Obviously, if you want to ride skis, snowboard, something like that, you can. We're open all weekend. And then if you want to watch the concert, Sugar Ray and Wheatus on Saturday, any lift ticket, vouchers, season pass, anything like that includes your concert ticket. But if you wanted to add it on, it's like $45. It's nothing.
Well, that's the thing about when you guys do an event, it never ends. Like there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. And I've got to tell you, I've never seen a better setting for fireworks than with that background of the beautiful ski mountain and snow. I really haven't.
Oh, thank you. There really is something about seeing the fireworks go off and reflecting off the snow. It's cool.
Amazing stuff. So starting Friday, it is Mountain Fest, and it's going all weekend. Tyler, thank you very much. Montage Mountain is going to be the place to be this weekend once again.
Absolutely.
All right, my man. Thank you.
Thank you. Talk soon.
All right. We're going to take a break, Bulldog, quickly, and then we can finish with Rick Bigelow. I don't know. I'm telling you, I don't think we're going to get it all in because there's so much to talk about. But we'll take a break and be back on the Bob Cordaro Show. theme song for the Democrat Party. The Doobie Brothers. Murph says they moved from number 23 to number 10. What a fool believes. And 1991, this date, Iraqi generals and U.S. Generals Storm and Norman Schwarzkopf had to love him. They meet to discuss Gulf War ceasefire. Bob Cordaro back here. So this isn't America's first rodeo. We didn't do it very well under Bush, but we did it pretty darn good under Bill Bush the father. Let's hope for similar wisdom and results this time. Rick Bigelow is our guest. And Rick, my apology to having you to compress this. We got to, with the few minutes we have left, try to finish this up, bring us to today.
Okay. I think, we talked about the strikes last June against the Iranian nuclear facilities. And it was my opinion back then it was going to take a long time for them to build up again. And but that was 9 months ago. And apparently they have restarted some of their nuclear facilities and are on the path to producing nuclear weapons again. I don't think we'll ever really know what the status is for a month or two after this all kind of clears up. But I think if you look at their nuclear program, basically they took a page out of what the North Koreans did. Was the North Koreans would agree to stop their program, and then they'd take some money from the South or from the West and say, yes, you can inspect our facilities. And then they'd renege on the deals, and all that time they were going forward with their research and their production. And in the mid-1990s, we didn't think there was any way they would have a nuclear weapon. Within 10 years, they had a nuclear weapon, and then another, and then another.
Rick, one of the things that's important, and I've been pointing out, the agenda, the stated objective of this clerical regime, this mad, insane clerical regime, is to use the nuclear weapon if they get it in order to bring the return of the 12th Imam. And I mean, they say it. It's their philosophy.
Yeah. And sooner or later, you got to believe them. and so I think, these strikes have been primarily against their missile facilities. And I think, once again, we're concerned that some very high-tech missiles have been sent from the Chinese to the Iranians, and we're worried about our ability to interdict those missiles. And I mean, even now we know we haven't gotten all the missiles that they've shot at us. Yeah. So it's a concern. And
I was saying Gordon Chang was reporting that he believes that unknown shipments included hypersonic missiles, which we really can't defend against.
Yep, that's right. And the other thing is, I mean, everybody's concerned about nuclear weapons. I think you have to be concerned about chemical and biological weapons, too. And nobody's really talking about that. I imagine if they have any such facilities in Iran, we are probably going after them, too. So it's a very difficult situation. And I think we were at a point of we got to do it now or else we're in real trouble.
Rick Bigelow, one of the things that is so stunning is that we got to the point where they weren't negotiating with us. They were moving full speed ahead, and this idiotic agreement that the Obama administration made was actually assisting them in moving forward on nuclear and ballistic missile technology.
Yes. And our good friends, the Chinese, are basically funding it by buying a lot of oil from Iran. Iran is still one of the top 5 exporters of oil at this point in time, even though we have sanctions.
Crazy stuff. Well, Rick Bigelow, thank you for squeezing it in. We appreciate it very much. the history is important, and it ain't all good on our side. But I think the Iranian people writ large are saying, it might be a little better to go back and try democracy.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Rick Bigelow, thank you so much for changing course and doing this with us. And we may have to follow up.
Will do, Bob.
All right. The great Rick Bigelow, patent attorney extraordinaire, but he's our historian. We love him. And we got to go. And so, whenever I've got to go, because I look at my Cordaro Jewelers watch, it tells me it's 12. Sue Henry's coming in. Rob O'Donnell after that. So I've got to gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense and let you know, God willing, I'll be back tomorrow to do it again. Have a great afternoon.